we're going to have a little more fun. We're going to talk about media as it enters the tech world, travel. We're going to talk about immersive entertainment, growing communities with MJ's community. That's enough. To kick us off. I just do want to show that 361 is actually finally getting with the times. You will soon at some point access this, of how you, hopefully you still need me as a human at some point, or my teams, but we're going to get Mark out of the way in 2025. That's the theme. So you'll see, actually this is a good example. This is the domes. You can see, when you come on here, you will see what it is we're talking about. Or you can see what kind of deal it is, what they're solving for. Here he pitched in Miami. You can ask questions of it. You can provide insights and all these things. So I say that to, that's where we're heading. We're trying to move with the zeitgeist. But let's, is there yeah, you got it. So since you've got it, why don't you share an insight as technology, that's a great picture right there. Really exciting. How technology is scaring and exciting your worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things that scares the hell out of me is the ability for technology. So technology has the ability to make the world a better place, or it has the ability to destroy. And so it depends upon, whose hands you put it in, and what you're doing. I have a community of about 300,000 members in sobriety and addiction, and with the whole goal of bringing people together and healing, right? And we had some amazing conversations on AI and how AI is making the world a better place. And my first question is, okay, in the wrong hands, how can AI hurt? So it's the same conversation here. So that's what scares me. What excites me is tech's ability to bring communities together. I don't know if you guys remember, there's this great documentary, I think it's called Blue Zones, and they talked about how people could live centurions past 100 years old, and what is it about? And you looked, and in a lot of they're eating worse and all this, and it's community. And so what excites me is that the fact that when you bring affinity groups together and can create community, people live longer. And so if the community is the answer to so many problems from health to healing, then we need to start leaning in to more community and affinity-based tech. So that's what scares me. That's what excites me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm definitely on the double-edged sword side of this. So my world is very much immersive technology and media and the domes, but also holograms and these different kind of virtual reality experiences. And the end result of all that is basically making content experiences and gaming experiences that trick the brain more and more effectively into being realistic and into being real, which is very powerful and very positive for teaching and training, or for social cohesion and building, trust and intimacy relationships, and can be very powerful for therapeutic applications. But also, obviously, it could be used to, we joke around in the immersive industry about like horror films that, you really don't want to make like The Ring or these kinds of like classic, mall horror movies for like VR headsets and domes, because the technology is to the point where you can actually like scar someone, and truly traumatize them, which, shows the power of the medium, but obviously shows how, dangerous it is. And same thing with AI. You can make, all these new technologies can make it so realistic and so convincing and so engaging that, you have to really keep track of your mind and, pay attention to what you're doing. So unfortunately, I think that that's going to happen for better or for worse. And so companies that come in need to be good stewards of that technology, and we make sure we use it for good purpose. We don't overuse it for bad purposes.
So we have a Zoomer. And Peter, do you want to introduce yourself? You have to go off mute, though.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, so I've spent my entire career at the crossroads of media and tech and finance. I come from 3 generations of Hollywood entertainment, but I got deeply into copyright and production. I've written 30 #1 songs, including Open Your Heart from Madonna. But what happened was I started managing all of my own copyrights and rights. And eventually I had to learn how to administrate and license and do all of the legal work. Well, technology really helped me to create a platform which allowed the more stringent corporations to accept the proof of title, all of the regulations and restrictions that large companies have. And really, fintech innovations that have driven so much advancement. What does this matter to investors? It's crucial to understand that for the first time, the scaling of digital media is everywhere, right? Whether it's just on a brand or in raising money, it offers an opportunity to invest in ways that never existed before. I'll give you a great example. In creating large-scale projects like films and television IP, it was hard for people to invest in smaller participation. Now with tokens and NFTs and funding and group funding and crowdsourcing of crypto, those fractionalized ownerships of these titles can really include many more cross-border, international, global investments. And the early adopters, the ones who get in earliest, are going to really benefit the most.
I'm going to call another audible. I'm going to bring music, community together. This was you can see the screen. This was our mental health.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's anybody that I've met who hasn't had a friend, a family member, who just talk about shame.
I'll just show you this real quick. Believe me, I'm not as adept at this as I need to be. But this was the lead singer of Korn, right?
He was a guitarist for Korn.
The guitarist,
Yeah.
who basically went into places, people that were just, drugs couldn't help, therapists couldn't help. You know what helped? Music.
Yep.
Use and treatment has grown and changed. As you can imagine, the early days of AA, you might see them.
So immersive entertainment, community, and what you do. These are just some common themes. Now, if we could just do this on an airplane, tell us what you're doing with technology.
Well, if you want to get that technical on the health side, I would say that there are 2 things that are great for you that make your life better. One is having more serotonin in your body and more oxytocin, if you want to get a little bit technical, as opposed to dopamine. One way to do that.
By the way, play more racket sports, ping pong.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I decided to do more tennis and golf, because it's great for your brains and for your body. But the reason what I'm trying to say, when I relate this to travel, for example, people are spending a lot of time having these experiences instead of traveling on social media and learning everything about everything. My son was traveling with me. He wanted to go to Rome once last year, and I took him. And he was like, I've seen it all, I knew it all. There was no excitement anymore because he had seen everything with the social media. However, that's on one side. And the way I look at it is that you're getting a lot of dopamine, if you want to call it that way, from the social media. Looking at it, you're getting a kick out of that. He enjoyed, for example, talking to kids about what he was experiencing. But at the same time, the thing that worries me is that we lose the passion for travel, to get curious, and to get to experience things, and that is what helps mental health, among other things. It's really positive for you to have that curiosity on that side. That's what scares me the most. Just to finish,
That was pretty elegant. You're well done there.
I think it could be great if we have AI with us in every day. We will have less time to work, but hopefully we will have more time to travel. So that could be a positive. So that's my hope.
Yeah, I was going to say, and in that, Wes was talking about oxytocin and the release of the chemicals, and one of the brands we're working with, because we partner with a number of sobriety and wellness brands, we were talking this company called BrainTap, which is the top brain fitness app in the world. And I was talking to the founder, because what we're trying to do and what people are trying to do is how do we actually trigger the very chemicals that we needed when we were addicted to drugs, right? And just to be clear, 300 million people suffering from alcohol use disorder and 38% of adult Americans. So we're not talking about a small amount of people, and it's getting much worse. And so if we could figure out ways to trigger those same chemicals, that oxytocin, or trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, then we could literally...
How's that going?
What's that?
How's that going?
Unbelievable. So this company, BrainTap, and these anxiety wearables, and all these companies that we're bringing into the Lucid marketplace is showing how we can literally hack and get in to fire those same... Think about when you go and exercise, and you don't want to exercise, and you're crawling into the gym, and you feel horrible, and then after you're out of there, you feel like $1 million.
Oh, Peter, I just saw Peter's hand up. Peter, you want to make a comment?
I agree with what everybody's saying. I think that the other aspect to arts, entertainment, technology, music, is the fact that this is a great and very common way to build bridges and community. And God knows that in mental health, isolation is the enemy. So I found that I built the platform DigiRamp, which is the digital rights and asset management platform. However, the greatest benefit that it offers to so many people that are being more and more isolated through technology is the ability to connect, communicate, and collaborate. And that, too, I think also really supports the health and the benefits of which you speak.
Well, maybe I'm going to bring it back to you, Chris. Now we're going to have 100 cities with your domes, right? The way we can connect in ways. You're one of your first investors who just wired you money on Friday or Thursday. It's part of his vision of what you're doing, right? Can you speak to that aspect?
Yeah, I'm just distracted thinking about a company I met when I was at Abundance 360 called Apollo, where they make sonoacoustic frequency transmitters. You can either wear them or you can put them into the floor panels of a room. And they create a subtle frequency that is almost like a drug or alcohol, like on a very subtle level, but it puts you into a more social kind of a state. And obviously with the domes, we want to do a similar thing, get everyone out of their houses where they're addicted to their socially isolating devices and get them into a communal physical environment with their fellow man and have a good time, and use music and visuals and other kinds of vibrations to support the brain, support the body, to have therapeutic positive experiences, but also to have just on a heart level, on a greater than frequency level, social level, human intimacy and connections.
Do you need an airline to take you to all those domes?
I was going to say what this gentleman said is 100% correct.
Peter?
Peter, the opposite of addiction is connection. And so when in my space, someone comes in and they're like, you don't understand how I'm feeling. And then you come into a community that understands and you're like, wow, you get it. And that's everything. And so if we can bring communities together like everybody here on this panel is doing, there's this saying, those amongst us no explanation is necessary. Those not amongst us no explanation is possible. And so when you bring these affinity groups together and people who share this common bond, magic happens.
Well, and I think...
And by the way, that's the magic that happens in the roundtables at the end of this conference. Sorry.
But I mean,
don't roll your ankle.
Yes.
I love this event, and I've had some wonderful times meeting more of this community, and there's like the pickleball stuff and the networking and dinners and things, but not everyone actually has those experiences in their life. And fortunately and unfortunately, COVID created like a huge global experiment on the effect of social isolation. And a lot of people hypothesized that we would be able to, stop driving our cars and commuting so much and just work from our homes and, go to virtual concerts from our homes and like a virtual, concert venue wearing headsets and all these things. And this would all be sort of the way of the future. And we gave that the college try, so to speak, during COVID, and the results were quite demonstrably bad. And I think a lot of interesting data came out of that, actually, that especially certain types of people really require community and social interaction for their mental health. And I'm glad to see that on all levels that's being really embraced as like not just a sort of fun bonus part of life, but really an essential part of life.
Yeah, I don't know if that brings me back. I don't know if Jeffrey's on, because during COVID I experienced. Jeff, can you speak to this? Because my preteen sons, and I don't know if we were moving around like an hour ago. It's so important for boys to move around. You know what they did during COVID to all these boys? They were stuck in front of a computer, and it really just destroyed kids at that age. But that's what Jeff. Do you want to speak to what you do? Jeff Zawatsky.
That me? Yeah.
That's you. That's you.
Do you want me to do the little
Yeah.
comment quickly?
Yep, please.
I mean, we're hello to everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there. I'm in San Francisco Bay Area, but we're building an AI-powered platform for families with struggling young people and teens. And as this panel was talking about, I mean, the power of community to heal is tremendous. And to your point, I mean, since COVID, you've had a 50% increase in mental health issues for young people. Can you hear me? We get a lot of feedback.
We hear you. It's probably my fault. I had my mic on. Keep going.
Okay. I mean, it's gotten to the point where 37% of kids say they're not sure if they have a single friend, right? And that isolation is tremendously costly. And right now, our mental health system is basically broken. I mean, we haven't really added any new modalities. Teletherapy has been helpful in some cases, but you really haven't added any scope. We've got a tremendous provider. You have to be, depending on whose numbers you believe, we need 1 million to 5 million more therapists. Our approach actually to doing this, having those experience of having a child who's gone through this, part of the bolt on that, and our clinical partners work in the field, is really about community. And we're using AI to power that community so that we actually have, we partnered with a company called Inflection AI, founder of LinkedIn's Reid Hoffman's AI company. It was designed specifically for EQ, not just IQ, so it was trained by therapists and psychiatrists. And we have one of the first APIs. There's more than 12,000 organizations waiting on the list, but the CEO is one of my advisory board members. So we've got first access to them, and what we're doing is the basic finding and premise of what we found is the way we can attack and fix the mental health crisis in this country is really through the lived experience of other families that have gone through. And we just soft launched last summer, and we were doing it through purely building community. But what we've done in partnering with Inflection is we can actually use the AI agent to capture and leverage all the experiences of all the families that are out there to really create the sort of the premier mental health agent. Particularly, we're starting with family systems as well as other applications from caregiving to, we have relationships with the VA and everything else, and addiction. But that's where we're starting. That's our lived experience. So we're really creating something that sort of, turns the problem on the head, and you've got, at any given time, 25 million American families struggling with a young person. And the big hidden asset that was out there is all the parents who are siloed dealing with this, reinventing the wheel of care, as I like to say, all the time. So using our AI platform, AI-powered platform, I'll say, we can capture that information and create better treatments, earlier identification, fewer escalations, lower costs, kind of, the whole thing. So in a nutshell, I absolutely agree with what's being said here. In fact, the folks talk about music. I've got some friends who are doing music therapy impactful. But to that point, we're sort of building a community for, nobody wants to talk about their teen struggling, stigma, and everything else.
No one wants to talk about addictions either, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the cost of addiction, it's $1.45 trillion. It actually surpassed it, right? And that's in lost productivity and societal harm. And so what can we do on the preventative side? And so like we created technology called SAM inside of Lucid, which stands for Sobriety and Addiction Mentor, which gives a little daily check-in each day and walks that person with 365 assignments throughout the year, which we're now laying heavily AI on top of it, because it's one thing to get sober and it's another thing to stay sober. And so there's these stigmas of addiction. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, but maybe this is what I love about our global community. You guys need to connect your communities, because as my son who went to wilderness, a lot of those kids, the older ones, all had addictions. This was part of their detox.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like equine therapy and so if you think about everybody that's talked about here, from music and community and all different types of communities, right? And how we're able to get together. I mean, I think that the only answer is to be inclusive and combine, as you say, because in this case, we're a strength of numbers, because we're being outnumbered now. So I think
that's exactly right. I mean, we've partnered with, some of the teletherapies on the behavioral health systems. We've also partnered with Department of Med and Boston Children's Hospital in Georgetown, because you need to get those numbers. I mean, the AI facilitates sort of the cold start issue that you face with any community, and it gives you impactful and powerful answers right from the spot.
So what I like is this was the first of.
Real power is having the full-out community.
This was the first event.
And so we're creating that space.
This is the first event.
Add one thing to that.
It's okay.
Is your mic on?
This is the first of.
It's okay. The Hollywood ambassador to Korea. I went over and visited them in the early odds and helped to influence the innovation of K-pop. If we follow the best example of congregation and community, which is church.
Hello? You went on mute.
Incredible mega churches that were created early on, pulled together millions and millions of members, cross-border, cross-country, real-time. They harnessed technology, and to see the power of creating that audience and that community. I mean, that's why I'm thinking exactly what you said, Mark, which is even the dome technology, the AI technology, the mental health, creating communities creates congregation, creates commerce.
You know what we need, Peter? Peter, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I need a song. I need you to write a song that unites this initiative. Can you do that? You can get it.
I would be happy to.
Okay. We may not get Gaga or Madonna to sing it, but maybe we'll sing it all together.
We'll find the right artist.
There you go. Go ahead.
Well, I will say something. So addiction doesn't discriminate, but access to care does. So what's happening in this conversation with regard to community is you take these 300 million people that I'm talking about and the other 38%, in aggregate over 500 million people struggling. You build a platform, you get them together in one place to heal. It doesn't cost any money, right? And so if you can really see the power of community and our ability to join those communities and get people to heal, you flip that whole model of waiting for people to blow up and get sick and then try to treat them. And that's where that 1.45 trillion comes in. And so this is why the importance of this conversation with everyone on this panel, how communities heal.
So we're going to transition.
That's so correct. I mean, more than 50% of all U.S. counties don't have a single therapist. Only 3% of therapists in our country are African American. Less than 5% of American therapists speak Spanish, right? And with our, healthcare system, whole communities are shut out from care. So being able to leverage community, get to families, capture that knowledge, share that knowledge, and have it impact identified situations earlier is really the only way we're going to fix this, given the structural problems going forward.
So we have to leave it at that for this panel, and thank you, everyone. We'll be doing a breakout soon with all of you. Come join our 361 Firm community of investors and thought leaders. We have a lot of events created by the community as we collaborate on investments and philanthropic interests. Join us.